Air travel can feel like a well-choreographed performance, the smiling crew greeting you at the door, the orderly boarding process, and the promise of reaching your destination in a matter of hours. But beneath the polished surface lies an entirely different reality, one shaped by operational constraints, design compromises, and quiet cost-saving measures that most passengers never see. These behind-the-scenes details may not be announced over the intercom, but they can directly impact your comfort, health, and even your wallet. Today, we're lifting the curtain on 7 in-flight secrets that airlines don't advertise. These aren't traveler myths, they're grounded in how aviation really works, backed by documented practices, safety data, and the experiences of frequent flyers who pay attention to the small details. Once you know them, you'll see air travel differently, and you'll be equipped to make better decisions every time you fly. Subscribe to Epic Voyage for more insider air travel knowledge every week, and let's get started. Chapter 1. The Window Seat Temperature Trap. Ask most passengers where they'd like to sit, and the window seat wins more often than not. The views, the privacy, the wall to lean against, it's an easy choice. But what's rarely discussed is that this coveted spot is also the coldest seat in the cabin. At cruising altitude, the air outside can drop to around -40 degrees Fahrenheit, -40 degrees Celsius. Aircraft fuselages are insulated to keep cabins safe and pressurized, but they're not designed to eliminate temperature variation entirely. The panel next to a window seat is a thin layer separating you from the freezing exterior, and over time, the cold seeps through. On flights lasting 6 hours or more, this steady chill can noticeably lower your body temperature, especially if you're seated for long stretches without moving. This isn't just anecdotal. Thermal mapping of cabin interiors shows that temperatures can vary by several degrees depending on proximity to the outer wall. Narrow-body aircraft like the Boeing 737 and Airbus A320, which are common on medium-haul routes, often have less insulation than long-haul wide-body jets, making the effect more pronounced. Seasonal conditions matter too. Routes over colder regions, such as transatlantic winter flights, amplify the chill. Preparation is simple and effective. Pack a light sweater, cardigan or scarf in your carry-on, even if you're heading to a warm climate. Many experienced travelers keep a compact travel blanket or pashmina for exactly this reason. If you forget, ask for a blanket early in the flight before supplies run out. These are typically stored in sealed plastic bags in the galley. Small precautions like this can mean the difference between arriving refreshed and arriving fatigued from hours of low-grade discomfort. Chapter 2. The Hidden Risk in Hot Drinks. There's something comforting about sipping a hot beverage mid-flight. It's a ritual that adds warmth and familiarity to an otherwise sterile cabin environment. But few passengers realize where that water comes from. On most aircraft, hot drinks like coffee and tea are prepared, using water from onboard holding tanks connected to the galley taps. While airlines follow basic sanitation schedules, numerous studies, including those by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and independent laboratory tests, have found that these tanks can harbor bacteria such as E. coli and coliform. The problem isn't that the water is untreated, it's that cleaning intervals vary, and on high-utilization aircraft, tanks may go long stretches without deep cleaning. Short-haul planes flying multiple legs per day are particularly vulnerable, as there's little time between flights for thorough maintenance. Water safety regulations exist, but enforcement and adherence vary by airline and jurisdiction. Even if the water meets minimum standards, it may not be something you'd choose to drink if you knew its storage history. Safer alternatives exist. Opt for sealed beverages, bottled water, canned sodas, or juice boxes. These are loaded separately and bypass the onboard tanks entirely. Some passengers bring their own tea bags or instant coffee sachets and request hot water from a sealed bottle if available, though this depends on crew resources and policies. Interestingly, some premium airlines now promote the fact that they prepare hot drinks with bottled or filtered water as part of their marketing, a subtle acknowledgement that passengers are becoming more aware of onboard water quality concerns. For most travelers, the takeaway is simple. Hydration is important, but there's no need to take unnecessary risks with questionable water sources thousands of feet in the air. Chapter 3. The filthiest spots aren't in the lavatory. Airplane bathrooms get a bad reputation, and while they're heavily used, they're also among the most frequently cleaned parts of the aircraft. Other areas don't get the same attention, and they can be far dirtier. Two surfaces stand out: the tray table and the seatback pocket. Tray tables are used for meals, laptops, tablets, reading materials, and sometimes even as makeshift changing stations for infants. Between tight turnarounds and limited cleaning crews, tray tables often receive only a cursory wipe, or no cleaning at all between flights. Seatback pockets are worse. They're fabric or mesh pouches that trap crumbs, spilled liquids, and small trash items. Cleaning them properly requires removing and laundering the fabric, which is time-consuming and costly, so airlines rarely do it outside of major maintenance cycles. Cabin crew often remove visible trash only, leaving behind whatever can't be reached easily. The fix is within your control. Pack disinfecting wipes and clean your tray table before using it. Avoid placing uncovered food directly on it, and resist the temptation to store personal electronics or snacks in the seatback pocket. You have no way of knowing what's been in there before. Some health-conscious travelers even bring compact folding lap trays to create a clean barrier. These steps can significantly reduce your exposure to bacteria and viruses in high-contact areas. Chapter 4. Timing flights to avoid delays. Delays are more than an inconvenience. They can derail entire travel plans. Fortunately, timing your flight can make a measurable difference in your odds of arriving on schedule. Airline schedules operate on a tight chain. When one flight runs late, it delays the aircraft's next departure, and the delay can cascade throughout the day. This snowball effect is especially pronounced in the afternoon and evening. Morning flights, particularly those before 9 a.m., are far less affected, because the aircraft have usually been parked overnight and are ready to depart on time. There's also a meteorological advantage. Early mornings tend to have calmer air, which means fewer weather-related delays and smoother flights. In contrast, afternoon heat can create thermals that increase turbulence, and late-day storms are more common in certain regions. Booking early doesn't just help you avoid delays, it gives you more recovery options if something does go wrong. If your morning flight is cancelled, you can often be rebooked later the same day. But if you're on the last flight of the evening, a cancellation could mean an unplanned overnight stay. Frequent travelers use this tactic consistently, especially on routes known for congestion or unpredictable weather. It's one of the simplest ways to increase your chances of arriving when you plan to. Chapter 5. Why the back of the plane can be better. Common wisdom says the front of the plane is best. Less noise, quicker boarding and deplaning, and sometimes smoother rides. But the back of the aircraft has overlooked advantages that can make it the smarter choice. If the galley is located at the rear, flight attendants are stationed nearby, making it easier for them to respond to passenger needs quickly. It also gives them the option to discreetly offer extras, like an additional snack or drink, without attracting attention from the entire cabin. Rear sections can also be less crowded. Many passengers choose front and middle seats, leaving some empty rows at the back, especially on flights that aren't sold out. This can mean an empty middle seat next to you, more overhead bin space, and fewer interruptions once the main service is complete. Safety statistics add another dimension. While accidents are rare, some studies of survivable crashes have found slightly higher survival rates for passengers seated toward the rear. It's not a reason to panic or drastically change your travel habits, but it's a point of interest that has been noted in multiple analyses. The trade-off is deplaning last, but for some, the benefits in comfort, service, and even peace of mind outweigh the extra minutes spent waiting to disembark. Chapter 6. The Neck Pillow Inflation Mistake. Neck pillows are a simple travel accessory. but using them incorrectly can lead to discomfort or even damage to the pillow. The most common mistake is inflating an air-filled pillow fully before takeoff. As the plane climbs, cabin pressure drops. This causes any sealed air chamber, like an inflatable pillow, to expand. A pillow that's fully inflated on the ground can become overly rigid or burst at altitude. The fix is easy. Inflate it only about 3/4 of the way before takeoff. By the time you reach cruising altitude, it will have expanded to the perfect firmness. This small adjustment also makes it easier to store during boarding and reduces strain on the pillow seams. Memory foam pillows avoid this issue entirely, though they take up more space in your carry-on. Choosing between inflatable and foam comes down to your packing style and comfort priorities, but understanding how pressure changes affect each type will help you avoid mid-flight surprises. Chapter 7. The Special Meal Advantage. Airline meals have a reputation for being bland and uniform. But there's a simple way to improve your in-flight dining. Order a special meal. Options like vegetarian, vegan, kosher, halal, low sodium, or gluten-free are prepared in smaller batches with closer attention to quality. Because they're loaded separately, special meals are served before the main service. This means you can eat sooner, avoid menu shortages, and have more time to rest afterward. In some cases, special meals include fresher ingredients, more varied flavors, or better presentation than the standard options. Ordering is free, but you must make the request at least 24 to 48 hours before departure. Even if you have no dietary restrictions, trying a special meal can be an easy upgrade to your onboard experience, and one of the few perks airlines will give you without charging extra. From the cold reality of the window seat to the hidden bacteria on tray tables, these 7 flight secrets reveal just how many small but significant details are at play in the air. Airlines may not advertise them, but understanding these factors allows you to prepare better, travel more comfortably, and avoid unnecessary risks. Air travel doesn't have to be a gamble. With the right knowledge, you can turn even the most basic economy seat into a smarter, safer, and more enjoyable journey. Subscribe to Epic Voyage for more insider strategies and travel tips, and make every flight your best one yet.